everyone. Welcome back to Witches of the Moon. Oh, text message. As I was saying, welcome back to Witches of the Moon. This week, I believe the topic is divination. And to be honest, I've already done this video once and my camera went south on me, so I ended up having to do it again, obviously. So let's get right into it. I know that my co-hosts in the previous days of this week have really touched really good on the types of divination, what divination is, the definition of divination. So what I wanted to do was share with you some of the things that I personally do when it comes to divination and the reasons that I do it. So some of the things that I use when I am trying to accomplish different things. And to me, divination is just that, to accomplish different things. You can use it to fortune tell, to foresee, to speak to otherworldly things, beings, and it can be done in many different ways. And sometimes I'm a very strong believer in everyone out there has an intuitive side, and intuition is a very big but beginner's part of divination. So divination is basically something that it's in the craft that you have to build, you have to work on, you have to practice with, and the more you work with it, the more you do it, the more you become comfortable with it, the more it works for you. So the same in saying with the tools that you use, depending on the type of divination that you're doing. So I would have to say the number one divination form that is out there is probably the tarot or the oracle cards. And there are so many to choose from for you to see what resonates with you and what speaks to you. And I'll be honest with you, the first couple of decks that I owned, they were pretty, and I liked them, I really did, but they just didn't seem to do anything for me. And that happens with any tool. So you have to keep that in mind, that you know, trying for your first, second, maybe even your third time, if it's not working for you, then perhaps you need to find a different tool. So there's many different types of cards out there. There are oracle cards, there are tarot cards, there are Lenormand cards, there are regular playing cards, believe it or not, and I have not opened this deck, but regular playing cards can be used for divination as well. There are dice. You can use dice. There's different forms of dice that you can get. And recently, which I have been studying up on, I have acquired a couple of, different types of decks, an oracle deck, a tarot deck, and a Lenormand deck. And to be honest with you, so far the easiest one that I have seen that has worked for me has been my Lenormand deck. So, but I know it can get more difficult. It's just that the basics there are much easier to learn, in my opinion, than what the tarot was. Now, if you want to go even easier than that, you can always go to an oracle deck. And most oracle decks, they're very straightforward. They have messages on them that help you to understand their meaning or to actually give you a reading for that day. And then there are other oracle decks that just have pictures and you can do interpretations. So I'm sure there are lots of videos out there on tarot decks and oracle decks and Lenormand decks, and so I have a chest that is full of them. I really don't want to do that, so maybe one of these days I will do a video on my collection because it does become a habit. Anyway, another form of divination is, and this is probably the second most popular, is to use some type of pendulum and a board or a spreadsheet or something that gives you your answers once you have become accustomed to using the board or the spreadsheet. You can use a piece of paper, draw on a piece of paper what you want the pendulum to point out to you, and I can show you here. I actually have several pendulums, but this is a pendulum, okay? This is a pendulum, and it's basically a weighted thing on the end of a chain or a string. Now, you do not have to go out and purchase a fancy pendulum or a fancy board. You don't have to go out and buy this, okay? Because believe it or not, I'm a very strong believer in if you can create it yourself, it's going to have so much more intention in it and it's going to work for you so much better. So you don't have to go out and spend buku bucks on a board and a pendulum and all that good stuff. Actually, what you can do, bear with me, let me put this back, is you can take something as simple as, here, let me show you. Hold on just a second here. Okay, so we'll go over this in a minute, but you can take something as simple as a piece of thread or a ribbon, just like this, and a ring. It doesn't have to be an expensive ring. It doesn't have to be a fancy ring. It doesn't have to, it can be something as simple as a ring. And just like that, you have a pendulum. So see, you don't have to go out and buy one. And then when it comes to actually doing your board or, you know, your response table, I think I have some scrap paper here. I do. Okay. You can do something as simple as yes, yes, no, no. Okay. This is the basic pendulum. Now, if you want better answers, because what your pendulum is going to do is it's going to swing in directions and it's going to point to things for you after you start talking to it and you start working with it and you connect to it and you hold it and you basically love this thing, then it's going to start speaking to you with the energies that are around you. So you can do something as simple as writing on a piece of paper with a thread or a ribbon and maybe a ring, or you can even use something as simple as a star of anise pod on a thread, which I believe Lady Grave Dancer, she either shows you or she has one, or you can also use something very similar to, let me see. Do you have a necklace around the house? Do you have a necklace around the house? Do you see? A necklace works just as good. This is no fancy thing. It hasn't been, you know, it's not super expensive. But it's heavy enough to where it will start giving you bear with me. Sorry about that. That would be my husband calling. Okay, so that's one way to use your pendulum, okay? That's one way to do divination. And it's actually a very effective way once you start practicing enough and once you get it down. Then you can upgrade, and you can always, you know, if you want to branch out, buy you a fancy pendulum or whatever. Okay, so that's another form of divination. Here's another form that I use. This is a simple bag of polished stones, polished crystals. And I have selected a random number. There is no specific number of crystals in here, but if you will see, there's a random number of crystals in here. And each one of these crystals carries with it a certain energy, a certain meaning, a certain correspondence, and you can study up on those. And then on top of that, each one means something individual to me. So I have them in a little handmade bag. And what I do is when these, and I actually use this for my morning affirmations. I carry these with me. What I do every morning after I'm, you know, up and about and ready to go, and this is like before I actually really start my day, I roll the bag around and I think about what I want to do, or what do I want to know for the day, or what's going to happen, or what does the day have in store for me. And then I pull out a stone. Now, this is snowflake obsidian. Do your research on what snowflake obsidian is and then learn what it means to you. So, basically what you would be doing is, let's do an easy one. Rose quartz. Rose quartz, of course, for a lot of us represents love, peace, tranquility. So if I pulled this stone, it would probably tell me that I need to be concentrating on, you know, self-love and being a peaceful person and trying to stay calm today, and that would help me with my daily affirmation. So that is another form of divination. And this is very simple to do, and I'm sure many of you already have small polished crystals. You already know what they mean, so you can start your own bag, your own affirmation bag, and do your own divinations. And this can also work if you're doing a reading for somebody else. Let them pull a stone out of the bag and see what the day holds in store for them. Okay, so that's another form that I personally use. Another form is sleep divination. Now, sleep divination, especially in my early years of practice when I was trying to connect with my spirit guide, sleep divination was very important. And what I did was I would select certain crystals. And what I have here are the three primary ones that I use. This is lapis lazuli. This is a clear quartz point. And this is shattuckite. Now, each one of these stones has a certain correspondence, of course, with it, but I would actually take these stones to bed with me depending on what the feeling was from each stone that night. Do a quick meditation about what I wanted to accomplish in my dreams. And then in my dreams, I receive messages. And this was also the way that I connected with my spirit guide, Ethan, initially. So, this is another way that you can use stones in divination. And another form of divination is dream divination or sleep divination. So, sorry, I had to take a little break there. The phone was ringing. My husband was doing his best to get a hold of me. So, where were we? So those are the stones that I use for my sleep divination. Now, there are other stones that I use for meditation divination. And mind you, I've added a couple here the past couple of days because I have been working with them. But when it comes to divining in meditation, you don't have to just use stones. You can use all kinds of things. You can actually use physical objects as well. If you have, for instance, somebody's ring, or you know, somebody's personal something or whatever, you can use that and hold it in meditation, and you will get feelings and words. And sometimes this is how deja vu works. I don't know if you know that or not, but it's usually because you've been holding something or seen something. And you know, if I get this video done without any more communications from anybody, I'm going to be surprised. I am so sorry, people. I can't turn the phone off, though, because the babies are at the groomers, and I'm waiting for her to call me. So, okay, so enough with the stones. So, another way to do divination that I use quite frequently is scrying. And this is my scry bowl. And what I do with this is I put water in it, and then I usually have a scrying oil that okay, to make it easier for me to read, especially since my bowl is not clear, I usually put a drop of food coloring in here. So I put water in the bowl, a small amount up to about here, and then I will take 4 drops, north, south, east, west, for the elements of scrying oil. And I make my own, by the way. And then I hold the bowl like this, and I swirl it around real easy. And then if you just sit and look into the bowl, just look into the bowl for a while, you will start to get different images, different pictures, different visions, actually. And that's another way of divination. You can also do the same thing, believe it or not, with a candle. Now, candle scrying is, and I'll be honest with you, this can really get difficult on the eyes after a few years, so I would be careful not to do this a whole lot. But this is called candle scrying, and what you're doing is you have a lit candle in a completely still room, okay? And you're going to put your hands around the candle so that you almost feel the heat, and the candle will start to dance around. Do you see the flame dancing? Now, in that, if you stare at this long enough, towards the top of the flame, you will actually start to get the same as scrying. You'll start to see images, pictures, symbols. I use this as well. So that is candle scrying. And I would have to say that's probably the basics when it comes to my scrying. I will admit that my primary scrying is, divination is done with my pendulum. I have even been known to use my pendulum to help me find lost things around the house. I use my pendulum to communicate with Charlie. Although Ethan comes to me whenever he wants, there does not have to be any form of divination anymore. We have a very open communication track to where he even talks in my ear sometimes while I'm trying to do something. But I'd have to say that the majority of my divination is done with my pendulum. And it took me a while to find one that I was connected to. I was just gifted one not too long ago that I'm still trying to connect to, but I think I'm going to have to change the stone in it because I'm just not getting the feeling that I want from it. So I hope I've covered a great deal of divination. I do want to stress that divination is not a toy. It's not a game. It's not something that you want to play with. If you are serious about learning it, it's something that you do want to practice, but you do want to do your protection and your precautions while doing it. And I have a video on my channel where I talk a little bit more about using spirit boards. So you don't want to go into this thinking that it's a game. You are actually trying to speak to or communicate with something that is otherworldly. And that can be dangerous. It can be. So with all that said, oh, I missed my runes. Hey, yeah, you know what? We have our runes. And I'm in an awesome rune group right now, and we are steadily learning our runes. They come in different forms. I mean, you can make them, you can buy them. I'm making a set as we go. So this is another form of divination. You know, pull one out of a bag. It helps you to read your day, or you can throw them, and it helps to do a full reading. For instance, if you're wanting to do it on someone else. But those types of readings are more like, I want to say, more like tarot reading, kind of, you know, where you're using your intuition again quite a bit. So I guess that's it. This has been Saturday with Sunshine on Divination. If you haven't subscribed, please do so that we can update you when we load another video. I know that next week's topic is going to really excite you newbies, so you definitely want to subscribe so that you know when we have loaded these videos. If you have subscribed, thank you very much. I love you so much, and I'm glad that you enjoy our channel, and I'm glad that you keep coming back to see us. If there's no more videos here on Witches of the Moon for you to watch, skip over to either some of Amethyst Moon's or Poe Moonstone or Blythe Spirit, the Witchy Dude. Oh my gosh, there's me, Sunshine Morning Ray. There's the Lady Grave Dancer. Tequila has some awesome information on her personal channel as well. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Who am I forgetting? This is what happens when you get too excited. Blythe, Poe, Aaron, Tequila, Alex, me. I'm forgetting somebody. I am so forgetting somebody. You know what? I'm going to get kicked for this one. This is what happens when you enter crone stage. The mind tends to go. So, sorry. Oh, Joey! That's who it was. Jeez, how could I forget Joey? That was just awful. Joey Morris, I mean, she's awesome too. So skip over and watch all of those videos if you've run out of videos here on Witches of the Moon. And I guess that pretty much wraps it up. I hope y'all have an awesome day, and come back soon. Lady Grave Dancer's up tomorrow. You're gonna love her if you haven't seen her already. Talk to y'all real soon. Have an awesome day. Blessed be. Love you all, pretties. Bye-bye. Mwah, mwah.